Hello, Money Multipliers! Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kessler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? So very happy to see you back again. Every single week I have a new episode dropping every Tuesday. And today I was joined by the one, the only, the beautiful, the amazing Miss Isabelle Guarino. If you don't know Isabelle, you need to know. And especially for my people who are coming down to Tampa for Mastering the Money Game Live, you're gonna meet Isabelle. She is phenomenal in the space of residential assisted living, RAL. This is a form of an alternative investment in the real estate space. I think more people need to know about this. You know, there's so much more than just having single family homes. There's so much more than wholesaling or fixing and flipping properties. So I want y'all to know the tools and the resources that are out there to continue to keep putting your little green men to work. So for my people who are going to be in Tampa, you are going to meet Isabelle. And for my people who are not going to be in Tampa, why? What are you doing? For all my northerners, don't you want to come down to sunny Tampa and get out of the cold? So you can go snag your ticket, moneygamelive.com, and y'all, reach out to me. I have some coupon codes and some discounts that I'm handing out. So send me an email, podcast@themoneymultiplier.com, and I will send you that coupon code to use to save you some money during the checkout. So I think y'all will really like Isabelle. She is very humble. She has a very nurturing, very motherly personality and teaching style behind her. Way different than myself. That's one thing my mentor and I are working on. Hannah, you need to tap back into that feminine side. I know, when your mentor is Brent Kessler for a long, long time, you understand why my teaching style is the way I am. I'm a mini Brent Kessler, okay? So anyway, she just has a really cool way of explaining and just making complex topics very digestible and easy to understand, that hey, somebody who is in their 20s, they can get started in this. Here's the biggest misconception, y'all. You don't need a lot of money to start going on these different business ventures. I'm telling you, the time is now and you need to start, because then you're gonna end up, you're gonna be 55 years old working the same job that you are now, and you're gonna be sitting there thinking, why did I do this? Why did I live my life this way when I should have been making these actions steps to make my money work for me, instead of trading all of my time and my hours working for my money? So that's the purpose that I really want to bring RAL into your knowledge space. I want you to learn more about it. Myself, this is something that I am honestly really wanting to get into, especially my parents. I was thinking about this. If mom and dad owned an RAL house, they wouldn't need to have to pay somebody else 5, 10, 15 grand a month to live in somebody else's house. They can now have the resource of owning their own house and not having to spend all of the extra money going out to another business, another franchise. And they can then choose and dictate who their nurses are and who they want to be in the house helping them out. I honestly thought of it almost as like IBC, keeping the money in the family. If mom and dad had their own RAL house and we didn't have to pay out the money elsewhere, we now are able to keep it within the Kessler family empire. So a lot of things I've been thinking about. I really want to bring this up in our annual family banking meeting that we're having in May. I did talk a little bit about this, but every year we do our annual family banking meetings, and this year we're going to Croatia, and we're extending out the trip going to Turkey, Istanbul, and then Germany. We're going to go hit Germany for a little bit. So while we're over there, we're going to be doing some family planning, talking about the money within the family business. But this is just a conversation that I think all of you need to hear. I got introduced to the REL space back in 2019 when Gene, Isabelle's father, called up my dad and said, hey, I love the infinite banking concept. I want you to come out and speak to my audience so that they know of another way of how they can finance these purchases that they're making or their investments. And that's when I got introduced. And ever since then, I've been seeing Isabelle around at other real estate conferences, local RIA meetups, note events, etc. And we just always stayed in contact, never lost touch. So very excited for my people too who are going to be at the RAL event this year. I believe it's in November. I want to say it's November in 2025. It'll be out in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. I will be there. I'll be speaking at that event, but don't wait that long, okay? We're here in February right now. It's just about to be March, and I'm traveling all across the country this year. I want to see you this year. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, rate us 5 stars, like it, leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear advice or different guests that you would like me to have on an interview. I'm here for you and I just want to help serve y'all. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. And please help me welcome Miss Isabelle Guarino. It's a pleasure to see you, lady.
Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
And actually, I love the backdrop there with the cow print. Are you a big animal print kind of girl?
I'm such an animal print. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
good. So now, Isabelle, you and I kind of bond a little bit because we are in business with our families. And I kind
Yep.
of make the joke sometimes. I'm like, people come up to you and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing that you're in business with your father or your parents. And I kind of make the joke, well, hey, you don't want to see what happens behind closed doors, all right? Sometimes they'll be saying stuff to you that you're like, all right, when you're talking with like a normal employee or a contractor, you're not using that same level of energy. You're telling me straight how it is instead of kind of beating around the bush with it, you know?
Absolutely. There's a whole element that people are not aware of.
Yeah. So I guess share with us a little bit about your backstory and how you got here now, really managing and running residential assisted living, the RAL Academy.
Yeah. It really started. My dad had been a real estate investor pretty much my whole life, like 30 plus years before he got involved in assisted living. And it really started when my grandmother fell and she broke her hip and she needed, assistance and care. And we were looking for a place that was suitable for her. And everything was like disgusting. Like, didn't want to leave my goldfish, let alone my beloved grandmother. And I'm like, this is just not okay. So, he, with that background, started doing quick math like, wait, we're going to pay 5 grand a month for her to live in one of these subpar facilities, or we could own a home where she lives with a couple other seniors. We run it as a business. She can live for free. We can cash flow. And it just started to make sense. So he kind of took his background in real estate investing and purchased his first residential assisted living home with the intent to move my grandmother in. And this whole time, I had just graduated college. I was kind of getting into the career field and going down different paths. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? This isn't like regular single family investing. So I was starting to ask questions and want to know more and get involved. And so my grandmother passed before we could move her into the home, but it really started this whole huge journey for my father and my family and myself of investing in these homes to provide solutions for seniors who don't want to go into a big, large commercial community. And yeah, the rest is history.
And you have our other siblings in the business too with you?
Yes. So my older sister works with me as well as my youngest brother. So all of us are involved. Yes.
Right. Okay. And help me understand too, because there are like different layers to residential assisted living.
Yeah.
I think you can come through it from like a passive side of the investment, whether it be the hands-on management, the franchise opportunities, if there are some. So if somebody is interested, I guess my first question is that why would somebody be interested in an investment like this?
Mhm. Great question. Most people come to us because they have a need within their own family, very similar to our story. Like they have a husband, a wife, a grandparent, a parent who needs this assistance and support. And they're looking at the numbers saying, it is so ridiculously expensive. And they're like, I don't know if I can afford that. That's a huge reason why they come to say, like, I need to make money and have a better place for them. The second biggest reason is just single family real estate is not cash flowing the way it used to. And so many people have properties that just aren't making it happen anymore, whether they're Airbnbs or larger luxury real estate properties that they just can't, make the money on. And they're looking for an alternative option. And so really it's kind of those two camps. And that's why most people do get into this.
Hey, Money Multipliers! I have some exciting news. My dear friend, Mr. Larry Steinhaus, and myself, we're going to be hosting a 2-day live event in Tampa, Florida. So March 1st and 2nd, 2025. You can go and snag your tickets from moneygamelive.com or click the link right here down below. And we just got a speaker-filled lineup here. All of the elite experts in their areas of alternative investing, how to make your money work for you and get out of the financial shackles that you don't even realize that you're in. So I'm so excited to see all of y'all there. March 1st and 2nd, Tampa, Florida. MoneyGameLive.com. I'll see everybody then. Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this, okay? Because coming from the insurance side, right, we're always talking about whole life policies, all the benefits of a properly structured high cash value policy, but then it kind of gets into the realm of long-term care insurance.
Yes.
A lot of the people that you serve and are helping, do a lot of them have long-term care insurance? I'm just curious.
I wonder if you know this stat better than me, but I've been told only 10% of the population has long-term care insurance. Does
Well,
that sound accurate?
yeah, it's low. I don't know the exact figure, but I know it's low.
Okay, so I've been told it's 10%, which is often what we find. So our homes are only 10-bed homes. I may have one or two clients who have long-term care insurance at a time. Like it's not like everyone's using that. Most people are selling the real estate that they own and using that capital to pay for their care needs, or their adult children are footing the bill, or they've got cash, savings, IRAs. Like they're pulling from any resource that they can to pay for this because the average stay in a care home is 3.5 years. That's a long time to pay for a high level of care.
Yeah, yeah. And monthly costs, like what? Would you say anywhere from 5 to 15,000 a month? Is that kind of the
Pretty
average?
much. Yep. Average cost in our country is $5,350 per month per resident. But that includes those friends on government funding, where that only pays out at $1,800 a head. And then you've got people in private pay paying 10, 12, 15,000. So that's bringing us to our average of right around that 5,000. But I'd say like most people listening to the show right now, they're probably not going to be relying on that government funding. There's so many things you have to do to get qualified for that, to show you don't have money and all this stuff. You're probably going to be going in a private pay situation. And it's not always the more you pay, the better it is. Sometimes these places are just charging a ton because of a chandelier and a pickleball court that the senior doesn't even care about. So it's tricky to know what's the right option. And that's kind of where we come in, just helping educate people that there are options. It doesn't have to be the one big facility at the end of the road that you've driven by 1,000 times.
Yeah, and just hearing your story, because even for myself, I've shared this a few times here on the podcast show, but like my Nana, she's 87 years old, has dementia, Alzheimer's, and actually it's getting even worse now. So they're still at their house. They have caregivers that will come in just for certain hours in the morning and at nighttime, getting them up and then going to bed. But
Yeah.
it's getting to the point where like nanny, there was one nanny is what we call her, nanny and Papa. But there was one night where she woke up at 3 a.m. freaking out because her dog that passed away 18 months ago, she was thinking that the dog was outside and we had to go save Abby, the dog, and bring her back home. And it's like, okay, now, Papa and Nanny, maybe now's the time that we should maybe start looking at different houses and not just living here in our primary house that we have. But they didn't plan, and it's coming back on the family to financially support this. And it's a lot of money. And so, like, even for myself, only being 25 years old right now, that's why I've been thinking about all of these long-term visions of, hey, long-term care, my retirement. How am I going to fund for these things when this time happens? So I don't know, for the people who are listening that maybe they are not in that scenario, but maybe their parents are getting there, what would kind of be your advice to prep for these expenses that could come up? What are some solutions that people are doing?
Yeah, it is never too early to plan. And I agree with you. It's one of those situations where until it happens to you and your family, you're pretty much unaware. You're unaware of what's going to happen. You're unaware of the costs. You're unaware of what's out there. And once it happens, you can't unsee it. And it's kind of scary because then it's like, okay, this is my grandma, but what happens when it's my parents? And then it's my responsibility. What happens when it's me and my kids can't afford? Like now you start going down this I think we need a plan, right? So I love that. And I do think like if you don't have long-term care insurance, it's an amazing thing to get because it definitely can help pay for your care. But if not, to me, the best solution is owning and operating or investing in your own residential assisted living home or business because then like right now, my homes, that's where my mom's going to go. That's where I hope to go one day and leave my kids blessings, not burdens. They don't have to stress, they don't have to pay. It's completely free because we're making money off of that home.
Yes.
Plus, now we're holding it for so long. So it's one of those things that it's gaining, a value over time and you're cash flowing all the while. We're not talking a couple $100 that you make on your regular single family. We're talking like thousands of dollars that you could be cash flowing. And I work 5 hours a week on my three homes. Like it doesn't have to be a full-time gig. If you wanted to, it can, but it doesn't have to be. And that's what we show people how to do it more passively.
Yes, yes. Now, also, so your father, Gene, he started RAL Academy?
Yes. Yes. So technically all those homes he started and then really his friends in the real estate investing space just started asking him like, what are you doing? Seniors, like old people in a house, what's going on? So he just started naturally kind of training and teaching them on it. And that was 11 years ago now.
Wow.
And it's really just blossomed into this huge thing where now we have 8 training events per year. We have thousands of students across the country who've opened amazing care homes. And it's just been so cool to be able to show people other alternatives in real estate that actually make you feel good about the money
Yes.
that you're making.
Yes. Now, let me ask you this. In Gene's first purchase for his RAL property, how did he finance this? Was it through a bank loan? Did he have private investors? Did he just pay cash for it? Talk to me there.
Yes. So for his first property, he had partners who were the money piece of it. They were Canadian investors. They like to invest in the US. They had no ownership on the real estate or the business. They just gave him the money after seeing a business plan and he just paid them back until we got out of that loan and now it's fully his. On the next two, bank loan, SBA. SBA loves to do assisted living. So we work with a lot of SBA lenders who do 7A or 504. And the third one was private money as well. So he actually used none of his own money to do this. And that's something that I love because so many people are looking for things to invest in and the returns aren't that great or there's no emotional connection to it's like it's gold, it's coffee beans, it's like are you like it's not that exciting. Like this is something we can all relate to. We all have a senior loved one in our life to some degree and it can really be that heartfelt thing too that people feel good about. So it's relatively I never want to say anything's easy, but it's relatively easier to raise capital for this than I think a lot of other things that just don't have that appeal.
Yep, yep. Hey, and big PSA to all my folks coming out to the Tampa event this coming weekend. These are some of the topics that we're going to be talking about at Money Game Live. So, how to buy real estate with no money, how to get into the RAL investing, and just a whole bunch of other different strategies. Because this has always been my thought when I first got introduced to you. My biggest thing that I always think about is how much time is it going to cost me?
Mhm.
Because a lot of my listeners, they're business owners, they're dentists, they're chiropractors, maybe they're teachers, and they're working full time, those 40 plus hours a week. And so, getting into this, what if I don't have as much time, but this realm of alternate investing really does interest me?
Yeah, there's a couple routes that you can go. One, you can just be a straight investor in someone who's going to do this, just a JV partner or private lender on a deal. Another angle is you can own the real estate and lease it to an operator who's going to run the business in the home. And that's a great way to get started because you are basically buying the real estate, renovating it, getting it ready to go for assisted living. So that might be adding more bedrooms and bathrooms, maybe adding fire suppression or sprinklers, widening hallways and doorways, whatever the home needs to, to make it senior safe and accessible. It doesn't need to be ADA compliant, but you want it as close to that as possible. So you can do that, the reno part, and then lease it to someone who's signing. I've seen 3-year contracts, I've seen 8-year, I've seen 12-year contracts with landlords and RAL operators because they don't want to be kicked out. Like
No.
it's based on the location. So they want to sign something where they're kind of like, no, I'm here, like I'm planting roots. So as a landlord, you're not worried about turnover. You're not worried about any of that. You get your check every month and you're good to go. I love that. And then the third way is obviously you could own the real estate and do that operations piece. That's what we do. And in the beginning, it's definitely more work. Like you have to be involved in getting it all set up, getting it licensed, hiring the staff. But once the systems are in place, which is kind of what we focus on, showing you the systems, that's when you can get down to the 5 hours a week, where like you're literally having a phone call and double checking on payroll. That's pretty much what I'm doing at this point. And that's exactly where I like to be sitting, making more than both of the other categories, but also not working a ton. So if you have another job, but you're saying, hey, I really need an investment that does this for me, all three are options, but all three will take different amounts of your time and energy up front. We can get you down to whatever you want to get down to, but up front, needing some extra capacity there. It is that is valid. You do need that.
And are all of your homes in Arizona?
Yes. So the three homes that we own and operate, they're all here in Phoenix. They're about 45 minutes away from me. And I like that distance because then I'm not tempted to go. It's far enough away that, like, if I have a dinner or a meeting on that side of town, okay, great. I'll go swing in and say hi. But I probably haven't been in like 4 or 5 months. Like,
Oh,
there's no need to go, like if it's running without me, why do I need to go? So that's kind of nice too, is that you can live where you want and invest where it makes sense. 31% of care home owners are remote owners. So they own a home in another state where they don't even live. And that's also important for any listeners who are like, yeah, yeah, but real estate's pricey in my area. Well, you don't have to do it in your area. You can do it wherever you want.
yeah, yeah. And like bedroom spaces, are there like minimums and maximums to what you can have? Because, I don't know, I'm thinking of like hotels, right? They have 200 plus rooms. I bet they have to have like special licensing or whatever for that. I don't know. Is there kind of a guideline here too?
Yes. So every state has a maximum number of residents you're allowed to have, and it ranges between 6 and 16. So all states allow you to do 2 residents per bedroom, but we do not suggest that. It is really hard to sell or pitch a shared bedroom. Like people,
Roommate.
they don't want to. They're like, no, I lived in my whole own house and now I have to share a house and a bedroom. Like, no. So private bedrooms are the way to go. Like, this isn't shove them all in a house. It's not pad split, right? Like, that's not what this is. Think like luxury upscale real estate. 300 to 500 square feet per resident is kind of a good rule of thumb. So if you have 10 residents, minimum a 3,000 square foot house, upwards of 5,000 is pretty comfy. as many private bedrooms and bathrooms as you can is realistic. But also, if you're in Texas where you can have 16 residents, you're never going to find a 1616 on the market. Like you are going to have to custom build or buy something that's maybe already 5, 6, 7,000 square feet and chop it up and renovate and do a big, changing it to what you want. So there is that element. The more residents you have, the more renovation you need to do or a build. When you're going under 10, you can usually make a lot of homes that are already kind of maybe more bedrooms than usual, but make them work.
Okay. Okay. And marketing this, like to find the residents. I
Yeah.
know that's something that you teach in the RAL Academy, but what are some of the things that people are doing? Are just all of those seniors coming to you? Because I know a big thing right now with all the baby boomers kind of getting into that phase of their life. There is a larger population of people who are needing this care, but how are people marketing this out there to get the word out that, hey, my home's available for rent and etc.
Right now we are currently 1.3 million beds short.
Wow.
So there is a lot of seniors who need housing and need care and need assistance. And really, it's the silent generation who's currently in assisted living. The baby boomers are still like 5 years out. So within the next 5 years, when we start to see this flood of seniors coming in, what we call the Silver Tsunami, we're going to have a 20-year run where there's twice the amount of seniors. There's 74 million in the baby boomer generation. So a huge influx of seniors who need housing, and we're not building beds fast enough. Like we can't keep up with the demand. So that's going to cause, because of supply and demand, that's going to cause the rates to live in the home to skyrocket. And those who can afford it will have a bed, and those who can't are going to be kind of screwed. And it's actually really sad. That's why we say, like, this is a crisis. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, if you can't play the game, you're going to be really screwed in this situation. So it's kind of scary. But to get the word out there, there's quite a few ways. Obviously, you need to have a great like online presence, a website, a Facebook page, but also just like local community resources. Elder law attorneys are a great resource, geriatric doctors, hospice agencies, adult daycare centers, and senior centers. So there's the online component, there's the community component, and then there's the pay to play component, which is an entire industry of people called placement agents. And they're basically realtors for the elderly. They
Interesting.
Yes, the family comes, they find a placement agent and they say, hey, this is the location, the amenities, the price point we're looking for. They tour them around, show them a couple places, cost the family nothing. It costs the care home owner the first month's rent. But if someone's going to stay with me for an average of 3.5 years, I'll give away 6 grand all day. Like I'm going to make the money back, tenfold. So there's multiple options to market, and you kind of need to do all three. Not one is better than the other. You need to have your feelers out there at all angles.
Okay. Okay. And if somebody was looking to get into like a JV relationship with somebody who is wanting to be actively involved, and maybe I just wanted to be a silent passive investor into this, are there platforms that they could go research?
We have been working with Chris from your guys' team to add RAL to his software program. What is it called? His
Yes,
dating app for investors.
Private Money Club,
Private
privatemoneyclub.com.
amazing resource. So I know that there's kind of matchmaking opportunities there. And that's a great way to do this. Also, in-person networking, like coming to events like the Assisted Living Conference, which I know you're speaking at this year, and I'm so excited to have you there. So events like that are great to meet people in person and also just get the vibe of like, hey, what are they doing? What's their opportunity? And a lot of people do network in that room and they're saying, I need money. I'm looking for money. Let's have that conversation. So I would say Private Money Club is a great resource, as well as, going to industry events like the Assisted Living Conference.
Good. No, very good. All right. And let me ask you as well, because you have a new family member that joined you,
Okay.
your new baby boy. And how, I guess, how has life been different? I know so many things have been different, but specifically in your business life, how has it been different? Why I'm asking this is because I was kind of thinking about you last night, because last night I was on my computer until about 8:30 at night. And I was like, okay, Hannah, we need to go and shut this off now. You need to wind down and relax. So,
Yeah.
since having your baby boy, has it made you be more disciplined to spend time with the family? And I guess it's nice too, because hey, if I'm only spending 5 hours a week doing my business side, my investing side, I do have more time to hang out with my kid. So
Yeah.
how has life been different?
That is part of why I love RAL, because I do have that time freedom. And so it's been a beautiful thing to be able to shut off and spend time with him. I'm blessed that we have a nanny who comes every day, but when she leaves and it's my time to be on and be present with him, I really, really try to make a point to like shut it all down. This is my time with him. I don't get it back. All kids want is your attention. So it's like give it all to him. And at first, I was freaked out of that because I was like you, like I was just working 24/7 and I love work. Like I genuinely like to work.
Yep.
So it's not like shut it down because I'm burnt out. It's like shut it down because or else I'm going to keep going and going and never stop, you know? So it's one of those things where I just had to kind of come to that conclusion with myself of say, what do you really want? What do you want to be remembered for? Him seeing your back and watching you from behind because you're working all day, or playing in the backyard with him, going to the park with him, making these memories. So I really try to make an effort to just shut it down, be present. There's such a limited time, with him and when they want to hang with you. And so that's kind of just been my motto right now. And then when he's asleep, if I can get in a little extra hour, sometimes I'll do that, but a lot of times it's forced me to be more productive on the times that I am on, because it's like this is the time you got, so go go go, and I'm just pumping out the amount of work I was doing in this time, magically it's happening in this time, or I find that when something comes up and I'm like, I'm not making this a priority. What is happening? Why is this not getting done? Why is it pushing, pushing, pushing? And then I just start to ask myself, can someone else do this? Why am I forcing myself to do this? Give it to someone else and magically poof, it's done. So you got to learn to delegate and elevate and just really protect your time. But it's definitely something that I still struggle with every day. But I just really try to make myself remember that, be present, be with him. We don't get these moments back.
Delegate and elevate. I'm writing that one on a one pager, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Hey, your advice to your past self, if you were in your 20s again, what would be the first step for somebody trying to build their wealth in their 20s? What would you tell your past self?
Oh my goodness. I really think that a lot of people like teach, like just start at the bottom and kind of like work your way up and just get that, that one little single family. And even if you're making $100 a month, like that's good. It's a start. Okay, but if you're going to be putting in all this effort, why not jump to where they are? Why do you have to go through and learn all those lessons? So to me, I tell people all the time, they're like, well, I'm just gonna just, get my first one and then I'll have five, and then I'll have 10, and then I'll have 20. And I'm like, if you need 20 homes to get to your financial freedom, do you know that each home comes with tenants, toilets, unpaid rent, drama, stress, the roof goes out, the floor needs it? Like, come on. It makes so much more sense to just jump where the people who you actually want to live like where they are. So, of course, I'm biased, but I am going to say that RAL to me has been one of the best ways, even for new beginners. We have so many young people who come to our class. I'm thinking of Snowing, an amazing immigrant from the Dominican Republic who came over. He's a registered nurse. He jumped all into RAL. Now he has three homes. He's cash flowing 40 grand a month. And he's like, this is life changing. This is game changing. And he just turned 29 and he started this like 3, 4 years ago. So you don't you don't have to wait till you're 50 or 60 to do something that gets you the money you want. You could do it right now. There's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, it's just your limiting beliefs, in my opinion.
Oh, thanks.
As my mentor always says, get out of your own damn way.
Yes. I love that.
Now, let me ask you this. For tax standpoint, are there some tax benefits for investing in RAL?
There can be, obviously, you're owning real estate, so there's a lot of write-offs in that regard. But if you are going to accept anybody who is on government funding, then you can apply for certain grants. But in general, I would say the biggest kind of, it's not necessarily, I guess it is a tax strategy. A lot of these homes are nonprofits.
Mhm.
So there's a lot that unlocks a whole nother realm of different grants and different opportunities and different ways to write off tax that a regular for-profit business does not necessarily have. So there are quite a few workarounds with that because as we know, taxes are everyone's enemy.
Yeah, yeah. That's the whole mission I'm on this year is really mastering the tax game and doing a lot of things differently than what I did last year.
Yeah,
So, Isabel, I appreciate you for being on. I want to ask you, along this wealth building journey,
yeah.
has there been a big major splurge that you've done once you've gotten to that level that you're like, hey, I'm here, that I'm doing it, and I'm finding myself at that person I've always wanted to be? Did you ever reward yourself with like a big major splurge item or vacation or experience?
This is such a good question, Hannah. It's so funny. I tell this story all the time of the first time I actually like took the stage and did a full training. Um, that weekend, I like broke our company records and sold $1 million from stage, and it was incredible. And I was so proud of myself. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I went home and I had chicken and rice and veggies for dinner. And like, I'm like, how lame. Like, someone brought me a bottle of champagne and I just put it away in the fridge. Like, I didn't even take a moment to celebrate. And I think that so many times entrepreneurs just go, 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 that when we hit that goal, we're just like, okay, but next, next, next. And we don't take a second to celebrate. And I remember like 6 months after that, I told them that, and they were like, you didn't even go out for a meal? You didn't pop that bottle, you didn't like nothing. And I was like, no. And they were like, we're doing it right now. And I was like, okay. And so like 6 months later, we had like $1,000 dinner with like everything on the menu that you could imagine. And it was just like, okay, maybe I should include some rituals for celebration. So I'm really bad at that. So I love that. And I'm going to do a better job this year.
Yeah, just reflecting and celebrating the good moments, splurging a little bit. We're actively having to work on that with my father right now. We call him the extreme couponer. And I'm like, Dad, just because you have a 2-for-1 at Arby's doesn't mean we need to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. It's tough sometimes just to like have those like, no, you deserve this. You are allowed to, have this moment. So,
And that's why we do this, right? I mean, that's why we get up every single day. We go hit the grind to create the cash flow, create the financial freedom so that we can, yes, time freedom, but then also not having to have my money dictate what I want to do. Literally last night, I had to go and book some flights. I'm going to Thailand in March, going to go see my girlfriend out there. She's out there in Asia for about a month and a half doing a yoga certificate training. And she's
oh,
like, hey,
fun.
since I'm over here, you should hop over, spend a week with me. And I'm like, all right, well, when am I ever going to get this experience again?
Yeah,
And I actually had to almost like convince myself to take off from my business for a week to go to Thailand. Like, are you kidding me? Yes, you should be doing these things. But long story short, I was looking at all the flights and I'm like, even though it may cost me $7,000 more, I might go and do first class on that 16-hour flight, So it's the freedom to have choices. And that's just what I want people to experience in this lifetime, the choice to choose the experience of what you want,
yeah, it's
So
true. It's such a good lesson. And I think it is so important because if you at the end of the day, what are we doing this all for if we don't get to live in the moment and have the fun? So I agree with you. We'll all work on it.
you are amazing. I am so excited to see you and thank you for being on here. Last thing, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can head to ral101.com. We've got free books, free webinars. You can schedule a call with me or the team. And I'd love to connect with you guys also on social. You can find us at RAL Academy on pretty much any of the social channels, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We'll see you there.
And y'all, what I'm going to do is post all of the links in the show notes down below. Again, thank you, Isabelle.
Thank you.
Isn't she such a cool chick? I love Miss Isabelle. I think she's a wealth of knowledge. And please, y'all, hit her up. Give her a like, follow her on her social media channels. Everything is going to be listed down below. And reminder too, she's going to be here in Tampa in just a few short days. Go over to moneygamelive.com and snag your ticket. Reminder too, send me an email, podcast@themoneymultiplier.com. And I got some discount codes that I'll be sending your way too if you ask for them. All right, thanks for being here on another podcast episode, and I will be back next week, next Tuesday. Until then, catch y'all soon. Bye now.